All right, welcome back to Zach's Franchise. Today I've got 2066 episode 2 for you. We're going to take a look at the Kentucky Lions draft class. We've got a major bullpen injury to work around, and then we're going to shake some things up with the position players, and I have a trade to reveal to you as well. So, a couple of big changes coming up. I'm excited. Let's dive right in. So for our draft class, we traded away our first round pick, and so we do have a bonus sixth round pick. But our first pick of the draft didn't come till round 2 at pick number 9. So we got 8 players. We started off with 3 consecutive pitchers, grabbed an outfielder, went pitcher again, 2 more outfielders, and then a 16-year-old pitcher from Australia. It's important to note that in the AFBL, all players enter the league through the draft, so there's no international free agent signings. It's all through the draft. Everyone enters through there. And so even though he was drafted, he's going to join my international complex because he's still just 16 years old. So let's check out pick number 1. Matt Reeder's a 17-year-old left-handed pitcher. The reason I selected him is he just has the most talent available at that spot. I know that he's likely going to stick in the bullpen for the length of his career, but 9 stuff, 9 movement really jumped out to me. That cutter with a potential to get all the way up to 10. He could be a really effective pitcher. Even though he's a lefty, that cutter can really neutralize the right-handed batters as well. Didn't see any issues with his personality class. There's no contract, so financial ambition isn't going to hurt us here. Maybe that stamina could jump up to 4. We could use him as a multi-inning reliever. He came from Stockton, California. High school numbers weren't crazy impressive. A lot of strikeouts in his senior year, but a lot of walks as well. So he has decent numbers for a 17-year-old already. So I'm not too worried. If those were like 1s and 2s for his current ratings, that would be a little more troubling. But I think he's got a good shot to reach his potential, and you never know. You could always get a potential bump as well. So featuring that slider and cutter, he's going to get a lot of right-handed batters out. He's also 6'7", so tons of reach. I know that doesn't really play necessarily in the game. It's just built in kind of to the stuff. But excited to see what he can come up with in his career. So that's Matt Reeder. Next, we'll take a look at Derek Pariseau, second pick, but in the 3rd round for us, 49th overall. He's a right-hander from New Orleans, and so he has the look of a pitcher that, maybe could pitch out of the starting rotation eventually, but might be a multi-inning reliever as well. I didn't love taking relievers so early in the draft, but these guys' talent really jumped out, and so I needed to replenish quickly our aging pitching staff. So these guys are going to get a real look and see if they can develop. So he's got the fastball and splitter, a nice combo, hoping he can maybe find a way to develop that changeup, potentially develop a breaking pitch, which I think would really give him a shot to get into the rotation. But another high school pitcher here. I like that movement rating. I talked about in the last episode, our park is really hitter friendly, so being able to keep the ball in the park is going to be really important. So 94 to 96 miles an hour. He's a little bit shorter at 5'10", but he'll make his debut in Miami as well this week. Let's go to our 4th round pick, Chris Cuban. He is a guy who I think could probably crack the starting rotation already at 6 stuff, 3 movement, 6 control. He's going to pitch and start. He's a college pitcher, so 20 years old. Looks like he's got 3 years in college. Let's see if he had a 4. 3 years in college, and he's got a good pitch mix. Stamina up at 6, so he could be a future starter for sure. Good fastball, and then slider, changeup, sinker. If he can bring all those up just a little bit, even to their potential, that would be outstanding. 7 control, 8 stuff. That's a guy who I could see sitting at 3rd or 4th in the rotation. Um, it would be ideal if he was fifth in the rotation. So not top of the line talent, but definitely good enough to play in a major league rotation. The first position player we picked was Trent Pollinger in the 5th round. Great outfield range, great speed. He's going to be able to steal some bases for us. And then offensively, good enough to get the job done. Another college player here. He comes out of El Paso College. He did okay in his, we'll say, sophomore year. Did okay in his sophomore year. But he's not necessarily in there for his bat. His value is going to come from running down those balls in the outfield, and then when he gets on base, he's going to be a problem for opposing pitchers and defenses. Jumping over to Tyler Black, another guy, sinker slider, and if we move him to a reliever, his stuff jumps just a little bit. I want to try him out as a starter. Just 17 years old, so you never know what can happen to these lower round picks. 6 stamina. What I really like about him is that high work ethic. He could develop a third pitch. It's kind of luck of the draw at this point, but in the 6th round, you'll take what value you can get. Then back to a couple outfielders. Steve Dunn, just kind of a safe pick here. Overall, he's going to be pretty average. Could make the major league roster as a 5th outfielder if he develops all the way up. Not too incredibly impressive, but he's doesn't have a lot of holes in his game, we'll say. So 17-year-old, 6'5" center fielder, quite a bit of range out there. Would play better in one of the corner spots. Getting down to our last 2 picks here. Ryan Vincent, pretty similar, a little more speed. He's got that high work ethic. For a 7th round pick, again, you're not going to have crazy talent, but maybe if he could get a little bump in a few ratings here and there, he could have some impact. And then finally, Leo Jackson out of Australia, another guy that could make a starting rotation with a couple of talent bumps. For now, just nice to have a young pitcher who doesn't look like he'll have a whole lot of gaps in his game as well. So that 9 stamina here at the end of the draft. We'll see. So not a ton of huge talent here in this draft class, but I am pretty pleased to have restocked the minor league system with a few arms that can throw because we are going to need it pretty quickly. I know these guys are pretty young, especially here at the top, 2 17-year-olds. But then we got Chris Cuban, who maybe could make an impact in the next 2 years or so. So all of these guys are going to start off in Miami for our rookie league team. We'll see how many at-bats we can get these batters, and I'm sure there will be plenty of innings to go around for the pitchers. Next, we'll take a look at our first injury list stint of the season. Ichiro Koyama, our setup man, is going to go down for 2 to 3 weeks. That injury proneness is fragile. He's been pretty good throughout his career. It's a hamstring strain, so not an arm injury, something that we're going to worry about too much, but we'll give him some rest now, and hopefully he'll be ready for a playoff run. 36 years old. He's going to turn 37 next month, so we want to take it easy with him. So what we've got to do, we've got to replace his production. So far, 17 innings, great, sparkling 1.06 ERA, 17 strikeouts to 3 walks, only allowed 2 earned runs so far. So that's going to be tough to replace his production. But if we check out the pitching staff, I did make a move to call up Dan Miller from AAA. Now, he's got outstanding ratings, 9.99 across the board. Got the fastball splitter combo with a nice slider as well. Now, Miller was dropped by Washington last season, pitched 2 seasons ago in 2064. Sat out all of last season. You'll see the injury proneness is wrecked, and then, ranks low in terms of loyalty and is short on motivation. So not a great leader, not loyal, poor work ethic, greedy. And so if he's not producing for you, he's a guy that you probably don't want around your team. I think that we, with the amount of leaders that we have on our team, can withstand the personality. And the great thing here is he was a free agent pickup. So I threw him down in AAA. I picked him up on April 19th, so I'm out there. So I picked him up, put him down there in AAA. Not having the most stellar start, but it's a different role than he's used to. He has started for quite a while. If we take a look at what he looks like as a starting pitcher, his stuff does drop down. He's maybe somebody we could move into the starting rotation. I don't necessarily want to count on him to eat up those innings because of his injury proneness. So we'll see how he performs. If we look at the rest of our rotation right now, we're not going to sit Arvilos, who's got a 4.02 ERA, but is one of the best pitchers in the league. Aldinha, 2.87 ERA in 60 innings so far. He's being very productive. Ivan Morales, we're not going to sit him down. He's an Ironman injury proneness. Stamina is 8. He's really just got his season started with 4 starts because he started the season off suspended, but he's an 8-time All-Star, won the our equivalent Cy Young Award, the Most Valuable Pitcher Award. Not going to sit him down. Joel Augustus, he's been productive. Even though his ratings aren't off the charts, he's done a nice job for us, and we're going to ride that hot hand while it's still here. And then Mendelssohn, our token lefty in the rotation. So Miller's going to slot in, just going to start him in middle relief right now, and we'll see what type of results he's going to get. Some notes, I moved John Dupuis down to a long relief role here. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to throw Dan Miller into the setup slot. We're going to put him 7th or later, and Gaitan can take over that 8th or later role. Going to click over to refresh it. And so if we go from Miller to Gaitan to Finzer with Davidson available to come in to face any key lefties, I like where we're at. If we take a look at the team stats here, I mentioned on the last video, 7th in runs allowed. Bullpen ERA has been pretty good. Starters a little higher than we're used to. So we'll check things out. One more thing I want to point out, and we're going to make a quick tweak to hopefully improve things here. Our defensive efficiency and zone rating right down near the bottom of the Patriot League, 8th and 9th. I have made a trade, and it's not processed yet. So let's go check out Kurt Woodard, who's been playing in AAA Idaho Falls for the Idaho organization, just battling back from some wrist tendonitis. But he has not played this season in the major leagues. Last year for Idaho, in 368 plate appearances, he had a 129 OPS plus. Clearly just a DH. But if we take a look at his ratings, he's going to be pretty solid. And then let's compare him to Brent Gates. It's going to be a major upgrade at the DH spot. So these two guys are not really close in terms of production, especially against lefties. You've got a little bit closer here for Gates. It just depends on the shape of the ratings that you like. A little bit more power for Woodard, a little bit more on base, it looks like, for Gates. But we are going to move Gates to the bench as a pinch hitter, and then Woodard is going to come into our lineup. So in return for Kurt Woodard coming over from Idaho, we're sending Mike Van Atta the other way. 25-year-old right-handed pitcher, was an 8th-round pick back in 2061. He's got amazing stuff, great movement, but that control rating lacking just a little bit. He could have a spot in our bullpen right now. I wish him well for stamina. He's just one of those fringe guys who could definitely have value on a major league roster, but in this moment, I'm taking back that 28-year-old DH who I think can succeed for 4, 5, 6 years in that slot for us. Van Atta, I hope he has a great career over there in Idaho. The other guy we sent over is outfielder Dan Holbrook. Dan really doesn't have a great defensive position, just that 2 outfield range rating. He's 28 years old, so kind of sent him back as a DH replacement for Idaho. Maybe he can have some success with those ratings pretty quick. He's going to avoid strikeouts, but not a ton of home run pop. So wish him both the best over there. A good personality here as well for Holbrook. But we'll see. Hopefully the trade works out for us and we get the boost in the lineup that we need. And hopefully Idaho can find some success as well. I know they're searching for a playoff appearance this year. The resulting move from that, we're going to have to send down Nick Annier. Annier has been playing left field for us so far this season, but has been pretty atrocious with the bat. 51 OPS plus. He's still in my plans to bring him back up because I think he's going to be an important player down the stretch, but his production hasn't been there so far. I want him to hit the reset button down here in AAA, make sure he's getting quality at bats, maybe try to develop that gap power a little bit more, and then build some flexibility playing him in right field. So with that move, Annier has been playing left field for us. We are going to take Brent Gates out of the lineup. We're going to slide Chung Chung to center, and that means Klaus Van Straten is going to play left, where he is an elite defender. So he's had to play center field. I think this is a nice opportunity to get Chung Chung some playing time. He's got that 9 outfield range, which is going to be a slight upgrade. He's got the 8 rating in center field. He's going to have the ability to avoid those strikeouts like Annier, and then a little bit more speed and stealing as well in regular playing time. He's been good, 139 OPS plus, so I'm really excited to see what he does. That's going to change things up a little bit for our lineup. We're going to put in Woodard, our trade acquisition, at DH, Chung Chung in center field, Van Straten there, and then the rest of it's going to be pretty consistent. They've done a nice job so far. And then against lefties, just Miller and Gunther will come in as substitutes. I changed the look up here just to do a little bit of evaluation of our players so far. Chris Bermudez doing really well, 156 OPS plus, nearing 2 WAR so far on the season. Brody Shanahan having the season we want to see as well, 129 OPS plus. Mike Swanson right around 98 OPS plus. Even though his third base ratings aren't super high, he's still doing a pretty good job out there. I expect Klaus Van Straten's pace to pick up a little bit now that he's moving over to left field, and then Chung Chung with some more playing time. Hopefully he can maintain his rate stats. 421 OBP so far. Lupe is getting hot right now. Hasn't had the most electric start on defense, but I'm happy with that bat all the way. Brent Gates has been pretty good, so I feel bad about taking him out of the lineup a little bit, but we'll still find at bats for him here and there, especially as a pinch hitter. Zarzicki, 68 OPS plus, but pretty good on defense, so we'll live with that. Sam Sinclair, our catcher, doing pretty well, 111. Catcher defense, catcher WAR can kind of be a little funky in this game. Hard to evaluate. Ernie Miller doing okay as well. Both of them about replacement level. And then Andre Iermiscu, he's got that speed, that stealing ability, and so he doesn't need to necessarily hit a ton. We can still use him off the bench, but he is a candidate for somebody who might go down into the minor leagues, see if there's anybody else worth grabbing from AAA. Chris Gunther, negative .5 WAR so far. I want to check out the splits here for him against lefties. 78 OPS plus. So he is really close to being demoted as well. I want to give him a little bit more of an extended chance here because he's got good ratings against left-handed pitching. But if we check out the batting splits, against lefties, 78 OPS plus. You'd like to see that a little bit closer to 100. And I made some adjustments so that he's not batting against right-handers quite as much because that is a net negative for us. 42 plate appearances already against right-handed pitching. We don't want to see that. So hopefully with these changes I've made, hopefully we'll see that win percentage rise up from 48%. Would really like to see this team make a playoff run once the pitching heats up and becomes what they are capable of. And the acquisition of Woodard as our new DH, I think we're in a pretty good spot to succeed. Not a ton of major holes. We will see if Swanson can keep it going at third base. We'll see if Gunther can turn it around against lefties. If not, might have to look down to AAA. And, the trade market could be heating up here as we enter the middle of the summer. So thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in next time to see how things have gone in the month of June.